2025 is a milestone year for me. As well as turning 40 years old, my podcast is hitting 500 episodes, and I've been podcasting myself for 13 years. A question I get all the time is, if you were starting today, what do you wish you knew back then? So today I'm going to go through a whole bunch of things I wish I knew, and these are going to be timeless pieces of advice, my friends, because let's be honest, a lot has changed since 2012. When I first started podcasting, we would use Skype with Ecamm call recorder to record the call, and I would even make my guests record their side of the audio locally using QuickTime or using Windows Recorder, because I wanted the highest quality audio possible. That is something that was a differentiator back in 2012. But today, with all of the amazing tools we have, things I wish were easier are now much easier. Recording local audio and combining it, editing, getting transcripts, all of those are easier. So these are 7 timeless things that I wish I knew when I first started. Let's dive into it. Number 1, and still something I struggle a little bit with to this day, but also something podcasters struggle with a lot, is having a single clear call to action. We need to remember that when people are listening to our podcast, that they are probably only half paying attention. They're probably doing something else, doing laundry or doing housework or driving, or they're on a plane, and they're not fully attentive. In fact, a survey from a few years ago from Edison Research showed that 65% of people are either doing laundry or at the gym while they're listening to a podcast. So having a single clear call to action means that they'll be able to take the action that you want them to take, versus saying, hey, if you liked this, go like and subscribe on YouTube, subscribe in your favorite podcast app, share it with a friend, go to the show notes, join our mailing list, right? So you want to have a clear single call to action, because that is going to ensure that people will, in fact, take action. Now, the other side of this, right, is my call to action was terrible. It was some version of what I just said. But what I wish I had started doing sooner was build my email list. This was an asset that I didn't think was an asset until like 2019. Even though I'd been doing business online since I was in high school, and I had been podcasting for 6 years at that point, I just didn't think my email list was important. People who listen to my show will know how to contact me. But here's the truth. Podcasting is a little bit of a parasocial relationship. In fact, our founder, Alberto Batella, wrote about this on our blog recently. And people know, like, and trust you when they listen to your podcast, but you have no idea who they are or how to get in touch with them. Which means that if you have a single clear call to action, that is join my mailing list, you are going to have a better chance of connecting with your listeners on a deeper level. It's an easier way to share your podcast, share what else is going on. And yeah, if you're promoting a product or service that is helpful to them, you can do that to your mailing list as well, giving you an avenue for monetization. So build my mailing list. It's something I wish I had thought to start since day one. Number 3, add transcripts as soon as possible. It took me about 3 years to add transcripts because there were no AI transcription tools, which means I had to pay a service like Rev $1.25 a minute to get the transcripts. And I didn't want that cost. Well, let me tell you, as soon as I started adding transcripts, traffic to my website increased because now there were more search terms. But on top of that, it's more accessible to more people. Maybe somebody can't listen to an episode and they just want to grab the nuggets of wisdom from your guest and they want to read through the transcript. Maybe they had listened to an episode, but they can't remember this one part and they want to grab the exact quote, so they search for part of the quote in the transcript. Or if someone can't physically, maybe they are deaf. And today it is easier than ever to get transcripts for your podcast. There are AI tools. And RSS.com includes this service on every paid plan. So if you use RSS.com, you can get quality transcripts for free as part of your plan. So there's no excuse today to not have transcripts, but in case it didn't seem like something that was really important to you, it's something that I wish I had done since day one. And in fact, when I started adding transcripts, I paid my virtual assistant to go back and transcribe the previous 3 years so that now I have a transcript for every episode. To be honest, this one didn't take me that long, but hire an editor. I wish I had done this from day one. I hate editing. It's time consuming and it's hard to do right. And I know what you're thinking. Well, there are tools out there that just help us edit now. But the difference between just like cutting stuff out and having someone actually master the audio and level everything and make sure you sound great and smooth out those transitions, the difference is notable. And I contribute a lot of my early success to hiring an editor who can do things right. And you don't have to break the bank on this, but if you are serious about your podcast, and I'm not just saying serious like it's part of your business, but if you have a hobby and if you want to have a good podcast, hiring an editor is super duper important. I wasted hours before finally hiring an editor, and he's been with me for 8 years and he does an incredible job. So that is something I really wish I had done sooner. Number 5, ask guests to share. A recent statistic showed me that only 25% of guests share the podcast that they go on. And I get it. If they're doing a bunch of podcasts where they're pretty much talking about the same thing, their audience is going to get bored of that. The interviews I do that most impress me is when someone asks me a question I've never been asked before, which dramatically increases the chances that I'm going to share that episode because I talk about something I don't usually get to talk about. So yes, do a great job in your interviews and then ask your guest to share them. Today, again, with AI tools and things like Riverside and Descript, you can easily share assets for them or create assets for them. But I used to think, well, they've already taken time out of their day to come on my show. I don't want to waste more of their time by asking them to share with my audience. Their job is bring the expertise. But if you do a good job, your guests will want to share because it is incumbent upon them to show their expertise from an outside source. And going on a podcast is a great way to show your expertise. So they'll want to share it with their audience, or they'll want to share it on social. You just need to make sure you ask the right questions and do a good job, which I did that for, I think, again, like one of my early successes was being curious and asking questions that people weren't getting asked. Number 6, on the other side of that token, though, is experiment. For the first 150 episodes of my podcast, I asked the same exact 5 questions. Who are you and what do you do? Tell us about your product, service, or business. Tell us about an early failure. When did you see success? Do you have any trade secrets for us? And it was a good conversation. They were good prompts, but I was afraid to deviate from that for a long time. I learned that people liked mixing up the format because it wasn't as monotonous. Yes, they like predictability, but they like just enough change that it doesn't feel boring, right? I think this is why like House and Law and Order do so well, because you can predict the broad strokes of the episode, but every so often they throw in something unexpected. And that's what keeps people engaged. It's a pattern interrupt. And I didn't do this for a long time. And when I started experimenting more, I saw those downloads increase. But more importantly, I saw more engagement and more people joining and asking about the show and talking about the show. Which brings me to the last thing I wish I had known sooner. A lot of downloads does not equal success. Downloads is a metric. And if you're using a host like RSS.com that makes sure that your downloads and your analytics are accurate, it could be a good metric, but a lot of downloads doesn't mean success. When I hit 1 million downloads, which I did in about a year, right? I remember I hit 500,000 downloads in like 9 months. And then a little after a year, I hit 1 million. I rolled out a membership that was like $5 a month, ad-free, extended episodes, bonus episodes. No one signed up because downloads does not mean success. Downloads are people who walk into a mall or a farmer's market or a car dealer. Not everybody who walks in is going to buy something, but the people who talk to the representative or sit down with a salesperson, they're more likely to buy, right? I would say downloads is the same. So what you're looking for is engagement. The more downloads you have, the more chances there are to engage. But now I don't measure success via downloads. I use downloads as a barometer for, all right, this episode was more popular than usual. This one was less popular than usual. But success for me is now how many people are joining my mailing list? How many people are filling out my feedback form? How many people are just reaching out and saying, hey, I really loved this episode? And if I had just counted on downloads for success, I would have thought, oh, my voice, my audio notes podcast, my short recorded from my phone episodes are not popular because they get less downloads than the interview podcasts. But because engagement is my level, my success metric, those episodes are actually very popular because they, more than any other episode, garner feedback. People fill out the feedback form. They email me and they say, hey, I appreciate you being open about this thing, or I really love this topic, or hey, you talked about this problem. Here's a suggestion. So I leaned on downloads like everybody in the podcast industry for a long time. I think we're finally starting to see that downloads is not the only metric, but I would say downloads is not your success metric. All right, so that's it for this video. The things that I wish I had known sooner. Have a single clear call to action. Build my email list sooner, add transcripts as soon as possible, hire an editor, ask guests to share, experiment, and know that downloads is not the only metric and it's not the best success metric. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you want to learn more about how to have a successful podcast, if you want a host that helps you have a successful podcast, head on over to rss.com to learn more. You can open your account and you can start for free, and we have lots of great paid features. So thanks again so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you out there.